because I'm interviewing the amazing Leela Cosgrove, and I love just about everything I've read about you, but I haven't actually met you. So I'm going to find out about you in this interview as well. Let me just quickly say that this is a weekly show that I do through LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. It's all about shining the light on female founders and women doing extraordinary things in business. And I think, Leela, you tick all those boxes. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I've been following your work for quite a while as well, and I know I've sent a bunch of clients to your events and stuff over the years.
Oh my God, you're gorgeous. Right, well, let's start off by telling everybody what is the name of your business and what do you do?
Oh God, like I run multiple companies, but
choose
I
one.
said to somebody the other day, I'm like, business isn't just my career; it's also my hobby, which is not necessarily the best thing all of the time.
I'm the same. I'm the same. You've got to find people that love talking about it.
What do I do? What do I want to do today? I don't know. Start another business. My core business for the last 18 years is Strategic Anarchy. So we're a sales and marketing consulting company. And, we've spent a lot of years helping small businesses bootstrap from like $100,000 to $1 million is kind of our niche expertise that we're really well known for. And then in the last couple of years, I've also started High Priestess, which is a witchcraft company.
I saw. And where did you get the name Strategic Anarchy? Because it's such a cool name.
Isn't it the best? I got to say, that's entirely my husband Gulliver. He is really good with naming things. So it does actually come from the military. It is actually a military term, which like backs up all of his like warrior stuff, right? But I just think anytime I talk to someone who's been in business for more than 5 seconds and I'm like Strategic Anarchy, they're like, good name.
Yeah, good name.
It sums it up, right? It's like everything is anarchy. Was it Tyson who said everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face? Like, and that's really what business is, right? It's just like it's total anarchy, and you try to wrangle some kind of strategy out of it.
And so that's what you do. So why did you set it up? Did something happen that gave you that light bulb moment? And you don't just have to talk about this business, because obviously I want to hear everything. So fire away.
Strategic Anarchy was an interesting one. I was 27 when I started it. And I'd never gotten along in corporate, right? So this is like, we're talking 2000.
I can't imagine why not.
Right? Weird. Why would a very opinionated 26-year-old not get along in corporate? Strange, right? But I'd kind of bounced around a whole bunch of sort of dead-end jobs. I'd gotten to the point where I was never fired, but that's just because I quit right before I got fired. So I had no references. So I ended up in temping. So I'm like bouncing around these temping jobs, but I always knew, and I don't know, call it delusion, call it destiny, call it like precognition. I always knew I was destined to do something larger with my life. Even at sort of 24, 25, I mean, I got married at 23 and then divorced by 24. That was fun.
Yeah, that's a pretty short marriage.
That was very short.
I'm
only
feeling a mistake.
15 months and we broke up on our first wedding anniversary. It was just, and at the time I was like, oh my God, what a bogan thing to do, to get married and divorced so quickly. And bless my sister, she's like, no, Leela, that's a rock star thing to do.
Yeah, that is a rock star thing to do.
Sister. But I always knew I was supposed to do something. I felt called. I knew inside of me that I was going to do something larger. And I'd grown up with my mother and my grandmother running a bookstore. So kind of that deep down inside of me that it was never very successful. It was a secondhand bookstore in Sydney. Like, they never made any money out of it. But I think
they love books.
Yeah. And I think I was always programmed really early on that women run businesses. That's what moms do. Right. My grandma, the two strongest female role models in my life, ran a business. So I always knew on some level I would probably end up running a business. And I was in this situation post my first marriage ending, where I was left with a lot of STDs, sexually transmitted deaths.
Nice.
And I needed to make some more money because my temping wage just wasn't cutting it, right? So I went online, and again, like, this is 2005, when there was nothing on the whole online
even existed.
There was no social media. There was like, you didn't, like, making money online was a scam.
We didn't even have iPhones until 2000.
Right? It was in 2009 I got my first BlackBerry. Like, it was like, yeah, it was so pre. I don't know. I had an old Nokia. Like, it was so early on, but I was desperate to make money, and I stumbled across a freelancing website, and I was like, well, you know, I've got some skills. I'm a good writer. I can write things quite well. And you know, I've got some admin kind of stuff. And I started stumbling across like virtual assistant kind of work online. And I was like, oh, maybe I could do that. So I put a profile up, but no one sort of responded to it until eventually, like it probably took 8 or 9 months before this Canadian guy based in Australia came to me and was like, hey, I'm looking at your profile and I think you don't really want to do admin. And I'm like, oh my God, you're so right. I'll do anything to make money right now. I don't care. But like, no, you're right. Admin makes me want to kill myself. I hate it. Right.
Yeah.
He's like, but you see, like, I look at the way you put your profile together and stuff. Like, it seems like writing is a thing. So he turned out to be the managing director of J. Abraham Asia Pacific.
Wow.
So if you know anything about Jay, like marketing genius, like pretty much, I think he and Dan Kennedy, if you want to talk about the coaching industry, are the guys who basically invented the coaching industry. Right. And he was also the chairperson of what was then EmpowerNet, now Success Resources, who bring Tony Robbins out to Australia. So I was really like thrown in the deep end. You know, the most I knew about Tony was watching some late night infomercials, right? And this big guy jumping.
Yeah.
In my insomnia, get super motivated at 2 a.m. and be like, well, can you play them earlier in the day? So I started working with him, and that really that was the catalyst that kicked off the entire business. So it's sort of like, it's an interesting mix of like luck. There was definitely luck there in terms of opportunity.
Well,
no, I mean, for the first couple of years, I worked for him for like $9 an hour while holding down my temp job, going through a divorce, having to support myself with that money. I'd go to my day job, I'd come home, I'd have dinner, and I'd spend all night writing. Like, so there's definitely some luck there in terms of the opportunity that landed, but I like to be really clear that it's both, right? It's not just hard work. I definitely had some opportunities that landed, but also there's plenty of other people who were handed similar opportunities who weren't willing to do the amount of work.
There's lots of opportunities out there for everyone, but it's whether you see them and then you act on them or not.
Are you willing to? I think there's this interesting thing. All right, side rant mission. I think there's this interesting thing that's happened since social media, where there's this idea that like if you just throw enough stuff online, you'll get famous and you'll make money, right? And this is. I'm not going to say it's entirely new. It's not like I am not one of these people who wants to start a generational war. I'm Gen X. I don't care about generational wars, right? But and it has existed beforehand for sure. Like it's not like people in the past wanted to work hard and now people don't. Like, no, it's always been people looking for the quickest way to make money, right? But I think social media has really pushed forward this idea, particularly in the sort of coaching consulting space, that if you just throw out enough content, if you just like do enough of this stuff, money's going to rain from the sky. And the reality is it doesn't. I mean, I've had people come to me with 500,000
I'm the first to attest to that.
Right? And it's you know, I held a dinner the other night. I do these kind of salon dinners for startups, and so I bring a mix of like startups and established business owners and stuff. And I was saying to them, I'm like, I watch people would rather go bankrupt before doing the work it would take to actually establish a business. Because if when it's not easy, when they don't just get discovered, they're like, oh, this is too hard. I've had clients come to me with like 500,000 followers on Instagram making no money.
Right. Wow.
Right? Because it's really easy to not.
Very.
Not. So it's like, I think there's this real issue in the marketplace where I think it's really important to hit in my story is I did my apprenticeship. I went and worked under somebody who'd already done it, who was there, who'd made it, who was making $1 million. I got access to the best marketing in the world. I got to go to Jay's events and Tony's events for free because I was working because I could never afford it. Because I was then creating content out of them for people. So like I have these opportunities, but I have these opportunities because I was willing to work for $9 an hour. Now I'm not saying everyone should go out there and work for $9 an hour like you do you, but the funny thing is the opportunity to do that is everywhere.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Everyone I know who is successful would happily take someone who wants to work hard and like get under their wing and mentor them. That's what people want to do. Legacy, like people want to do it, but it just, everybody just would prefer to put up an Instagram profile and be famous or go back to a day job.
And I think also with the beginning of Instagram and how important it was that you looked and suddenly all this influencer stuff came out that was all just bullshit. And well, to use the technical term. And I think it just steered social media in this horrible direction that hopefully, I mean, this is why I love LinkedIn so much, because it kind of, you can't do that kind of crap on LinkedIn, or otherwise you'll just end up with no followers at all and no one's going to be interested. So,
you know what I say about LinkedIn? It is so Facebook in 2009.
Like it is.
Right? It's so much like Facebook back at the start. Like, you know, at the beginning, it was very much like people trying to figure out how to use it and how it worked. And like, you know, if you were there and being open and having an opinion, like you marked yourself out really easily because everybody was trying to hustle to figure out what the hell this was and how it was going to work.
Yeah.
And with the benefit of having gotten on social media very early, which, you know, again, one of those luck meets opportunity things, being very early to social media and having built a profile there, you know, I see from LinkedIn, I'm like, this is something that's worth investing time and effort in. So,
well, it's the thing I always say to people about LinkedIn, and which is why I love it, is that on all the other platforms, you've got thousands of millions of people posting every day. On LinkedIn, you've got so few people posting. I think the percentage is 3% of people post. So you've got 97% of people who are just watching. So if you post and you post something that's interesting, and I always say to people, something that maybe is your opinion is going to be a lot more interesting than, guess what, I've got a thing on this week. That it really, you know, it really has that cut through and that ability to raise your profile with people that matter, where you can choose the people that you connect with, and it's not this big kind of amorphous audience of who knows what, but you can be much more clever about it. So yeah, I mean, I love it, but I'm sure you know a lot more about it than I do, having been on it. I mean, I signed up. I think I saw someone who had about 80,000 followers the other day post and say that they had been on it since 2009, and I went back and had a look and went, oh, 2007. But in those days, it was just constant streams of web developers and ads for things. It was so unreadable.
At the very start as well, there was no feed, right? Like right at the beginning, there was no feed because it was a resume job site, and so you got feeds and stuff, and there wasn't a feed until I don't know what year it was, but as Facebook really started to take off, and probably when Microsoft bought LinkedIn out, and they went, all right, well, let's just add a feed. And it was like genius.
Yeah. Well, since Microsoft has got into it, I'm really noticing that it, like you say, the whole Facebook thing, but it's kind of Facebook for business, which again, I love. So I don't have any problem with it. Yeah, okay, so now you've touched a little bit that you help people go from $100,000 to $1 million, which of course my ears are out like this. How do you do that? Can you tell me the kind of people that you're targeting and why and how you help them?
I mean, look, the thing is, I've worked in over 300 industries in the last 18 years, right? Like I've worked with a lot of people in a lot of spaces. We've worked in everything from B2C to B2B to product to service to like you name it, I've done it. But I think as I've gotten older and as I've gotten more like more, I don't know, it's really funny. When I was young and when I started out in business, I was very loud on social media, and people were always like, oh, that's going to hurt your business one day. Oh, people don't blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, okay, but like, I just got to be who I am. I'm not good at anything else. The only thing I'm good at is being me. Right. Yeah. So like I kept doing it. And it was more and more successful, right? And then the same people who were telling me not to do it started emulating what we were doing. And I was like, yes, I see.
Yeah, that's secret.
I mean, to be fair, I'd been on social media since 96, right? Like I'd been in forums. I'm a sci-fi nerd. I was always in like Buffy the Vampire Slayer forums and Star Trek forums.
Right.
I was like owning social media before it was a job. And so when Facebook, I understood exactly how to use Facebook because I'd already commanded the attention of everybody on forums for many years at that point.
Right.
So I was like across it. But certainly as I've gotten older, I feel like more and more I'm less interested in like just working with whoever. I've always niched, I've always preached niche, but more and more I'm just very clear that like, I'm just not fucking interested in working with anybody other than women.
Yeah, I'm the same.
My husband does. So our business, Our business still does, because like my husband's in the business, he works with the men, that's fine. But I just like literally, I'm not interested in movies about men. I'm not interested in books about men. I'm not interested in working with men. Like, I actually do have one or two male clients, but like, I'm just interested in women. I was saying to somebody this morning, I'm like, you want to know my political allegiance? You want to know my religion? It's just women. It's women. It's my political allegiance. It's my religion.
Because, and from my point of view, you get a lot of people come and go, why aren't you letting the guys have an opportunity? And I'm like, they don't need a friggin' opportunity. The men have got plenty of opportunities for the millennia. It is our turn to lift up women. And until we have that equality, I see that we've only got one option, which is to work with women and help them, raise the bar.
And at this point in my career, I'm just like, I look at the issues with venture capital. I look at the issues with the system. And I'm like, the only way for even the issues with violence to an extent that we're currently seeing in Australia, like not all of it can be fixed with money, but when women have resources, women have better options, right? And so that's all I'm fucking interested in doing. I'm interested in making women incredibly fucking wealthy, so that we can make better decisions. Like that is what it's going to take to shift the boat. We can sit here all day, and I will, and I've written articles crying about how venture capitalists are dickheads. And I'm right, they are, right? Yeah. But they are not going to change. They are not going.
And then that's the thing that people have to realize. But, I had some guy say to me, you can only build a wall one brick at a time, and it just takes time. And I went, you've had friggin' 30 years to make this change happen, and we've moved like 2%. Right. So no, it's not now it's just time for us as women to jump in and make the change happen ourselves, I think. And I'm loving watching all these women rising. It's fabulous.
Yeah, like that's the only option I think we have, is to just ignore those systems. A good friend of mine, Catherine Jonathan,
I know Catherine. She's amazing.
I love Catherine so much. We ran a women's leadership event in 2022, and her and I were on a panel together. And I said something about the system being broken, and she pulled me up and she said, no, Leela, the system's not broken. It's working exactly the way it's designed to. And I just floored me. And ever since, it's like 2 years ago, I've just been sitting here going, no, it's not broken. It's not broken. This is the way it's supposed to work. It's working the way it wants to work. So, we can sit here and be angry about that and throw rocks at it. And I will absolutely do that as well. But realistically, the way forward is to support women through bootstrapping businesses, creating their own wealth, because we know from just generally from business, but also from like aid distribution. When you look at like foreign aid distribution, when you give money to men, they're immediate family benefits. When you trickle that money down through women, the entire community.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that to me is like, cool. I just need to make as many women as I can, as rich as fucking possible. And that is like the best indicator of shifting this ship and moving things in the direction they need to go in.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that's important is role models, because we've got a whole lot of younger women coming up behind us. And if they can't see wealthy, successful women, they don't think that that's possible for them. So it's super important that my thing anyway is encouraging women to get out of the shadows, overcome their imposter syndrome, and stop thinking about themselves and how weird they feel, and think about all the young girls that are going to be inspired by seeing their story.
It's funny. I was at a Dell Women's Entrepreneur event in Singapore in 2019, and I was speaking to a female reporter from The Age, and she said to me, she's like, it's really funny. She's like, women have this thing. She's like, for men, if men roll out of bed in the morning and sit down at their desk, they send me a press release about it. She's like, but if women raise $5 million, they'll be like, oh, is this really newsworthy? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like, and I will, little proviso, little pin in this. I think there's a real thing that's been going on for a while here where we're like, well, women just need to have more confidence. And it's like, look, is confidence an issue? For sure, but it's an unnuanced fucking discussion, right? The idea of like, well, just have more confidence becomes this victim blaming. Same thing that's happening in venture capital, right? The venture capitalists are like, we're going to put money into funding women, by which they mean they're going to do accelerators.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They're not going to put women money. They're not going to take that money.
And if they do put in money, then they want it to be matched. So for some reason, we can't just get money without having to go. And if we can't raise $1 million and therefore we can't get that $1 million, I mean, it's just pathetic. It doesn't work.
But that's that underlying gaslighting, victim blaming of like, well, the problem isn't us, the problem is you. So we just need to teach you how to do this, how to do that stuff. And if you just had some more confidence, then everything would be okay. And it's like, hi, I'm a woman who does not lack confidence. And let me tell you where that gets you, right?
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's not like my life is so easy because of it, right? I've spent a lot of time on the internet being rape threats, like truly attacked. In a way where even I stepped back at one point because the hatred and the anger and the threats to my safety, and this was pre the police taking it particularly seriously. I know I still don't take it super seriously, but there's at least places you can report it now. When I reported, a guy sent me a photo of my dogs and a Google Maps image of my house.
Oh my God.
He was coming, like actual threat, legitimate threat, like actually threatened me, threatened my animals. And I went to the police and they told me to get off the internet.
Oh my God.
They said, just stay off Facebook.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, cool, but like that's my place of business. I can't just, my clients are on there, we run Facebook groups.
And anyway, he's already got my address and photos of my dogs and threatening me. So are you going to do something about that? Or are we just going to have a conversation about how it happened?
If he'd mailed that to me or phoned me, then they could have done something, right?
Yeah.
But it was on the internet. It's like, it's not real, it's the internet, right?
Oh my God.
This is a real thing. So being confident isn't like this cure-all.
No, and I'm confident too, and but I do, I don't know what age you are, but I'm now 57, and definitely something happened at around 50 for me where I went, you know what? You stop caring so much about what people
seeing
say.
This so much. So I turned 45 on Saturday.
Congratulations, you're a baby.
You keep telling me that, and I'm like, thank you. keep doing that. I love it. I don't know. I love aging. I don't.
Yeah. So do I. Bring it on.
Aging. I'm like, no. I feel like it's just like the most massive gift, and I feel like every year, every decade gets better. But something I'm seeing through our company, High Priestess, we do sort of readings and witchcraft and things like that. And the number of women who come to me and they're like, I'm 50. I'm fucking furious. And you're like, I love angry women. I love it. Right. I'm like, about what? And they're like, everything.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to go furious about being 50. And I was like, no.
They're just like,
everything starts
this is fucking bullshit. I am done. I am done with the patriarchy. I am done with the nonsense I've had to put up with at work. I'm done with bullshit in my marriage. Like, this is all fucking nonsense. And I'm like, this is amazing. So I think there's this like massive movement. It's interesting, right? Because there is a time when over the age of 50 was like over the hill. And now it's so like, it's women's second act, right? It's like, all right, the kids have...
Or even their middle act. Yeah.
Yeah, right. In many cases, even if the kids haven't moved out of home, they're at least now old enough to take care of themselves. I think it's, for a lot of women, I think it's like, the first most likely time for a marriage to break up is when the kids are like 6 or 7. The second most likely time is
when they leave home.
Right? So like for a lot of women, they've given all of this time to a fucking mediocre man who did nothing around the house, who did not help in any way, and then he's trotted off to live his life afterwards. Yeah. So she's given everything to like her family, her career, like everything, and now she's like, actually, no, I am done, and things are going to change. And I think that is an incredible resource.
Yeah, and I feel like there is going to be this rising wave of women over 50 becoming entrepreneurs. And I know that that's happening already, but with the ageism in the workplace, so people are, even if they're in a senior role, are starting to feel a little bit wobbly, like, things aren't, they're being looked at like the old woman. And I guess one of the things that I want to say is to all women is you're never too late to start a business. I mean, we've got women in our group that have started businesses at 65 and 70, and why the hell wouldn't you? I mean, if you want to do something, just do it, and don't think you're too old, and don't think that you have to work for someone else, because you'll have a much nicer boss with yourself for sure, who's going to agree with the days you want to have off.
And it's like, I mean, the reality is by the time you hit 50, 55, 60, the amount of career capital you have from whatever you've been doing, right? You have a massive amount of like knowledge and wisdom and the ability to leverage that into something. Now it means learning a new skill set. Yeah, because I think the big thing I always say to people is what you need to get your head around, particularly if you're going to bootstrap. And I always recommend bootstrapping over looking for VC.
Yeah.
Unlikely to get it, particularly if you're an older woman. You're very unlikely to get it, and it's just such a waste of time and energy, I think, for most women, where we'd be better off putting that time into learning how to generate leads, and then the bit that scares the shit out of everybody, learning how to make sales. Yeah. And that's what everybody just wants to go like running away from that. And it's like, but actually, I find that women particularly are the most incredible salespeople. And older women are just the most insanely bad. If I have to hire a sales team, I want women who are like 55 to 60.
Yeah, fantastic.
Because they get it. They get it because sales is just about like having that boundary with people and being like, right, this is the way it's going to be. And women that age just get it.
Yeah, we absolutely do. I love it. Okay, now we've only got about 5 minutes left. So I want you to do two things. One is tell me a story of someone you've worked with, a woman, and how you've helped them, because I always love those kind of stories. And then after that, I'll get you to tell everyone how they can get hold of you if they'd like to make millions of dollars out of their business.
Oh God, I have so many stories. I mean, I guess the one that comes to mind is always the one.
A juicy one. Yeah.
Look, I think the one that comes to mind is like, and probably because she was a client for like 11 years, like she's
gorgeous,
a really long time. Came to me when she was 25, and wanted to be a coach. And when my husband talked to her on the phone, because he does like a lot of the front end sales, but he'd happened to her, and he came to me. He's like, she's 25 years old. She wants to be a business coach, and I'm like, dude, she's what is she going to do? He's like, no, you don't understand. She has been working since she was 14. She bought her first hairdressing salon at 17. She grew it to over $500,000 in revenue in Harvey Bay, so a small regional town.
Wow.
And then sold it for 6 figures. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, she's actually qualified. All right, cool. Young, but that's not always like the bad thing, right? So she came to us. She had just sold that business out. She had no experience doing that stuff. Over the first 5 years, she grew to $3 million in revenue. Leveraged that money into commercial property. So was by the age of 30 was a legitimate millionaire, as in had $1 million in cash in the bank. Yeah, like legitimate. Also, I mean, she's a psycho with money. She's very, very good with money in a way even I am not. Like, she's amazing with like keeping it. I'm very good at making it. She's brilliant at keeping it.
I like a bit of balance of both.
Right. I've gotten better at it over the years, but there was a time where I was just like, I'll just make more. No, also try to keep some of it, right? So she leveraged that into commercial property, and she is now, she's exactly 10 years younger than me. So she's 35, and she is completely independent at this point. Yeah.
What an inspiring story, and what an amazing coach you must be to be helping her get there. But apart from anything else, little dimples. Okay. So we're going to have to wind it up, which is kind of upsetting, but tell everybody how they can get hold of you. So what are the ways, website addresses, and, socials or whatever?
Yeah, look, one of the great things about my name is I am the only person, I'm going to say in the world, because definitely on the internet, with my name spelled the way it is. So if you put that into Google, you're going to find me. If you put it into LinkedIn, you're going to find me. And then my website is leelacosgrove.com.
Fantastic. Leela, you are such an inspiration. What a great woman. You've got to stick around after this. I want to have a chat with you. But wow. So thank you so much for doing this. If you have enjoyed this, then please keep an eye out every Monday at 11, because I interview incredible women every week. Also check out she'sthebossgroup.com. I've just today launched an event calendar that's got all our events for the whole year, which I'm very excited about. Connect with me on LinkedIn, or we have a really active Facebook group for She's the Boss. And you're very, very welcome to come and join us. I also coach women in how to raise their profile and become a woman of influence. And as of this weekend, we have launched womenspeakers.com.au. So if you are running an event and you want a woman speaker, then please would you go and have a look on there. And if you're a woman who wants to be found as a speaker, then go on and sign yourself up and get yourself a profile. But Leela, thank you so, so much. This has been amazing.